Welcome, everyone, to the NoDQ.com live recap of AEW Dynamite for Wednesday, February 18th, 2026. Shout out to everybody watching this, whether it's live or on demand. I very much appreciate your viewership and support. It was an eventful Dynamite. We are now on the road to the AEW Revolution pay-per-view event in Los Angeles. AEW was in Sacramento, California this week. Rabid crowd, hot crowd in Sacramento. We opened up the show with Jon Moxley versus Mark Davis of the Don Callis family. It was your standard Dynamite match. I do like the gimmick with the hand. Davis, he punched the ring post by mistake, and his hand was bleeding. And of course, Jon Moxley took advantage of that. He bit the hand, he stomped on it, and the crowd was chanting, "You sick F." Simple Man Noah Foster, our own Noah Foster, tweeted about this, and AEW actually put Noah's tweet on the screen during the broadcast. So congratulations to Noah for getting his tweet on the air during Dynamite. Now, eventually, Mark Davis got the upper hand for a while, but ultimately it was Jon Moxley picking up the win with the submission. He moves on. And then later on, he talked about Konosuke Takeshita. They had a time limit draw during the Grand Slam event. Moxley wanted a no time limit match against Takeshita to see who the better man is, and it was officially confirmed for the Revolution show. Jon Moxley will defend his International Championship, Continental title, whatever it is, against Konosuke Takeshita. No time limit. We had FTR come into the ring for a promo. They are the tag team champions, and the Young Bucks are now the number one contenders. FTR and Stokely Hathaway, who was in a wheelchair, were bragging about themselves, ripping into the Bucks. But then the Young Bucks showed up in the ring. They gave the super kicks to FTR, leaving Stokely by himself. The crowd was chanting, "You effed up" at Stokely. He rolled around and got super kicked as well, super kicked out of his chair. And then the Bucks officially challenged FTR for a match at Revolution. And that was also confirmed for the Revolution pay-per-view. FTR will defend against the Bucks. Should be a hell of a match. Then we had footage of Brody King coming off his loss at the AEW Grand Slam event, and he said he's not going to feel sorry for himself. He issued an open challenge to the biggest and toughest, and he's going to get back into the world title scene. That will take place next week on Dynamite, and as this video was airing, we got more F-Ice chants. That looks to be a thing now for Brody King. Whether AEW wants it or not, we'll see if they embrace it. He'll be in action next week, to be determined regarding his opponent. We then had a four-way women's match for the TBS Championship. Willow Nightingale defending against Megan Bayne, Marina Shafir, and Mina Shirakawa. A very good match here. Mina got in some offense, came off the top onto everybody from the top rope to the outside. And then back in the ring, Megan gave a Hurricane Rana to Willow, and then Megan picked up Mina and sent her over the top rope onto Marina and Willow. And then after the commercial break, Willow and Megan went at it. The crowd was doing the meat chants, and everybody was on the outside again. Megan ended up power bombing Marina onto the timekeeper's table, and then back inside the ring, Willow delivered an avalanche German suplex to Megan, which looked pretty brutal. Hopefully Megan wasn't hurt from that one. And then Mina tried to finish off Willow, but Willow countered the figure 4 with the roll-up and got the 1-2-3 victory to retain her championship. All in all, good match here, and I'm glad that Willow got a nice victory here on Dynamite. It's about time they did something with that championship to make it meaningful and have Willow pick up a significant win. So I would say this was a positive. And then we had an unexpected moment. So unfortunately, Kerwin Silfies passed away. He was a longtime WWE director going back to the late 1980s. He was 75 years old, and the WWE paid tribute. Triple H did. No surprise there. But AEW, very classy move. They acknowledged his death on commentary, and Bryan Danielson even talked about learning from Kerwin in WWE. He flat out mentioned WWE while talking about Kerwin. So I thought that was really classy for AEW to do that. They didn't have to. Kerwin was a WWE guy, but they still gave him the respect. So that was really nice. We then had a face-off between Hangman Adam Page and the world champion MJF. MJF said he was not there to sell a pay-per-view, but then that's exactly what he did by cutting this promo, saying that he hates Page's guts. He doesn't like Page's white knight holier than thou bullshit. And he said that Page having 2 wins over him makes him sick. And then he said Page is a lucky shot who crumbled under pressure once he became champion. And he thinks that Page is out of bullets. MJF vowed to win. And I guess Revolution is on his birthday. So MJF's going to try to beat Page at Revolution on his birthday. And then Page responded by saying it's actually MJF who was the lucky shot, collected the spoils of greater men, and he said he wants to end things for good at Revolution, but it cannot just be a normal match. And he said that the people are going to decide this, but MJF said he's not doing that. He's only having a normal wrestling match. Page said MJF was scared, and then Page made an offer to MJF if MJF would agree to a stipulation. Page said that if he doesn't win, he will never challenge for the AEW World title as long as he lives. MJF agreed, and then Page said that it will in fact be a Texas death match. Very interesting segment here. We all think back to the last time somebody in AEW said that if they lost a world title match, they would never challenge for it again. Of course, that person was Cody Rhodes, and fans remember that. So it's a really interesting stipulation to come up with for this match, because I'm not expecting Page to win the title, and they're doing a Texas death match. So you really think that the odds are stacked in Page's favor. As for the content of the promo, I did like it, but I agree with Matthew in the chat. Like, it felt a little bit too similar just coming off of the Roman Reigns and CM Punk promo where Roman said he hates CM Punk. You know, same kind of thing here. But all in all, I did like it. I did think it was good, and the stipulation does have me more intrigued in their match. I will say that. And ultimately, that's the goal, is to get people interested in the match. We had Orange Cassidy and Ishii, who was a fill-in, going up against Gabe Kidd and Clark Connors. Kidd and Connors got the advantage early on, and then we had Kidd and Ishii going at it. They were slapping each other, chopping each other. At some point, it looked like Ishii may have gotten legitimately hurt. They were talking about a potential hamstring injury. He did seem a little bit off, but he did continue. And if it was legit, then he is a tough son of a bitch. They kept going, and Ishii actually got the win here, pinning Connors with the Brain Buster. Solid match here. You know, it is what it is. You know what you're getting out of these guys. Shout out to Josie Angelo Beans, who sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Says, I was there live. Holy crap. Crowd was hot as F. I'm not going to say the word because I already used the S word and I had my one profane word for the night. AEW, exclamation point. The crowd was really hot. It was definitely one of the better AEW crowds in some time. Sacramento brought the energy, and that venue worked really well for AEW. It's an old venue. I remember WWE used to run there for Monday Night Raw. It holds about 3,000 people, and it looked full on TV. It was a fun atmosphere for Dynamite this week. We had a Don Callis family backstage promo, and they were talking about trying to win championships. They were beating people up backstage. Archer was holding a guy up as Callis was cutting his promo, and Andrade wants the world title, and they want the CMLL title, which Claudio is holding. I really have no interest in that, but you know, they're building something up for that. Then we had, speaking of things I don't really care about, we had Hook, and he is the sole member of the Ops. Well, I guess the other guy is still with him, Shibata. Shibata is apparently recruiting new members internationally, and Hook is going to recruit members domestically. So we'll see where that goes. Samoa Joe is out with an injury. We then had the Brawling Birds debut, not the Brawling Brutes, the Brawling Birds. I would consider a name change on that. That does not sound very marketable to me. It's Jamie Hayter and Alex Windsor. They picked up a win against a local team. The local team got in a little bit of offense, but yeah, Brawling Birds won here. Pretty straightforward match, but I would change the name. We had a return. Thunder Rosa is officially back after being gone since, I believe, All In Texas. Thunder Rosa was with Chris Statlander. Apparently, Chris Statlander is not clear to wrestle, but Thunder Rosa is, and we'll see where this goes. If Thunder Rosa becomes the first challenger for Tekla, maybe they'll do that in Los Angeles, California. Why not? We then had Kevin Knight versus the Beast Mordos. Back and forth match here. It was fine. Pretty standard Dynamite match here. Mordos did some of his flashy moves like the big Samoan drop, but Knight kicked out of that, and then Knight made his comeback. He did the UFO, the big frog splash where he twists himself in midair and got the 1-2-3 victory. It was fine for what it was. We had another Will Ospreay video package teasing his pending return, whenever that is. We also had The Demand, which is Ricochet and the GOA, and I guess they want a trios tag title match, and that'll be on Collision. But there was a knife stuck in the locker room door of The Demand, so I guess Jack Perry is still on the prowl coming after these guys. I have no interest in them. I forgot they were even around when they showed up in the backstage segment, so there you go. And then we had our main event, Kenny Omega versus Swerve Strickland, which turned out to be a hell of a match. And then we had a very significant angle to close things out. Omega built up the early momentum. They fought on the outside a little bit. And then in the ring, Omega delivered a Snapdragon suplex, knee strike, went for another one, but Swerve blocked it. And then they ended up on the apron. Omega hit a Snapdragon suplex on the apron, and then Omega tried another one on the floor from the apron, but Swerve was able to land on his feet, and then he suplexed Omega on the floor, got him back in the ring. Both men were on the top rope, and Omega ended up giving Swerve an avalanche Snapdragon suplex. Swerve kicked out of that, and then Swerve was motioning to referee Aubrey Edwards about his shoulder. She came over, and as Omega was going for the V trigger, Aubrey got hit with it. And it looked like Swerve was pulling her in. So, things were getting suspicious here. The announcers were skeptical, wondering if Swerve did this intentionally. And then Swerve hit the house call kick. No referee. Delivered the Swerve stop on the apron. And then he took off the turnbuckle pad. And he catapulted Omega into the turnbuckle. Omega still managed to survive. And then Omega avoided a house call kick, hit another Snapdragon suplex, went for the V trigger, but Swerve countered him with another house call kick, followed by the big pressure, and got the 1-2-3 victory. And then after the match was over, Swerve continued the attack on Kenny Omega, officially turning heel. If there was any doubt, Omega gets beat up by Swerve. Swerve wraps the chain around Omega's throat, takes him to the outside, gives him the vertebraker through the announce table, and then Swerve yells into the camera that he needed this. And the show went off the air. I thought it was a really strong Dynamite. I'm seeing some mixed opinions in the chat room. Was it a 7? Was it a 6? I would go 8 on this one because I thought the main event was really strong. I love the heel turn. Swerve, great facial expressions, very convincing with the turn. I liked it a lot. And I thought they did a good job with AEW building up the matches for Revolution. They set up the tag match. Now that Revolution is about a month away, things are starting to kick into high gear. And I'm pretty hyped for Revolution. And at the end of the day, that's what the goal of the show is. And if it was this weekend, I think I would be really hyped for it. They got 3 weeks or so left to continue to build it up. But so far, shaping up to be another really strong card from AEW in LA. Tickets are selling well for it. Feels like AEW has some momentum right now. I'm giving the show 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. And they've had a string of strong shows here as of late. Dave Scheffler sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Dave. Says, Kenny looks to be written off after a good match. Where was Kenny's friends, the Bucks, and a needed Swerve heel turn as I felt he was going to turn? Yeah, Swerve really did need it. With all the top baby faces in AEW, you got Hangman Page, you got Kenny Omega, you got Will Ospreay when he returns, and Jon Moxley is apparently a face now, which is still weird to me. But yeah, they're strong on the face side, but what they really need are some strong heels. You got MJF. And then who else do you really have? I guess you got Kyle Fletcher, but he might be a baby face sooner than later. So I think Swerve does better as a heel. And I think it was the right call. And we'll see where things go with it. So thank you guys again for your viewership. Much love and appreciation to you all. I hope you have a great rest of your week. Stay safe out there. Say yes to NoDQ.com, and just please continue to spread the word about NoDQ.com. Peace and love is what it's all about, and I'll see you all next time.